Yo, what's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Coffee Pod. My name is Chishi Zed.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
Responsible husband invested in his wife, and now she undervalues him. Let's get it.
Just let me ask you this: who do you think you married? I mean, was he skydiving and jumping off mountains when you met him, or was he the same dude that he is today?
No, Your Honor. He's different at work. Him and I used to work at the same place, and he still is somebody that people respect at work. He's got that stoic look to him. I know you see him serious, and he's looking good now, but when we were married, he was not looking like this. He did not trim up
But do you see what you just told me? You told me he is positive and dynamic and in his element at his job.
At
and
work,
now
Honor.
you're at work, right. And now you're asking him to leave that job that he's dynamic in, positive, and enjoys and is steady, and you see the fact that he wants to keep that job as complacency and an inability to move. Do you see what I'm saying?
Your Honor, it's not that I want him to not keep his job. I just want him to move up. I'm moving up as I progress in my education. I'm progressing at work. I'm taking on promotions. He's still doing the same thing he did in 2000. He's been offered a promotion as a supervisor. He said no, somebody else would be fit for that promotion. Who says something like that?
Somebody who's content.
Yes, Your Honor, but he wanted to have a family, and okay, if he liked his job back then and he was single and it fit his lifestyle, wonderful, but that's not the case anymore. He's got a family now.
Mr. Sumpit, when you two got married, did you have any conversations about what your life was going to be like and how your family was going to function?
I was always very supportive with Alexandra, and my thought process was if I had my job and to stick to being always doing what I'm doing and to provide for the house and, just keep everything intact, then she would be able to go through school, get her degree, and just...
He's being an anchor to your kite. He is keeping you and the earth and the ground and stability together so you can fly as high as you want to and never be afraid that you're going to fall off the side of the mountain. How is that not a good thing?
Your Honor, he doesn't do anything. He does the same thing over and over. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. He really is. He's a good guy. But that's the problem. He's just very comfortable. He needs to get out there. He needs to pursue an education. He needs to get out there and volunteer. He needs to explore the world. I don't want to live with someone who's static.
You know what? A marriage license is a marriage license. It's not a fix-a-dude kit. You don't get a guy that you kind of like and then chip away at him until he becomes the guy you really wanted to begin with. He is who he is, and he has a right to be who he is.
Well, that's fine, but I don't want him, Your Honor. I don't want to be with someone like that. I want somebody that's going to fly away with me, if that's how we're going to put this.
Wow. Listen, gentlemen, this is Female Nature 101 right here. This reminds me of a study that I've talked about many times, right? I've talked about how there's these studies of women getting promotions at work. When a woman gets a promotion, her getting a higher position in her company increases the likelihood of that woman getting divorced, initiating divorce. Not her getting divorced because now she's smart and she understands her worth. No, when women usually improve themselves economically or usually get degrees, right? They got that PhD thing going on over here. They look down on their husband. They look down on their men. And you can say this is female nature, which to an extent it is, right? Hypergamy does play a role in this, but even more than that, there is an indoctrination that happens when women get sent to these universities and these colleges. They come out thinking that they deserve more or better than they actually do. In this case, better than her actual husband, who invested in her, helped her get through school, and she came out saying, you know what, I actually think I deserve better than you because I'm doing better, right? And only a woman thinks like this. A man goes off and he increases his credentials and improves his life. And I'm talking about somebody who has a family. In most cases, he's seeing that as an opportunity to take care of his children a little bit more easier and his wife a little bit more easier. Now, if that man isn't married, yeah, then his options do increase and he might go and want to date somebody else. But typically, men don't respond this way in situations. And so often happens is women by nature want to see a man who's always wanting to progress more and more. But when it becomes an unrealistic expectation are usually with women who have been educated in this modern educational system, and they come back home and they literally think that because she's got a degree, because she's got a master's, then she deserves a higher value man than what she already has. Now, we all know this is delusion. And the judge here in this situation definitely was able to catch what was going on. She asked some really good questions. One of the main questions that I thought was good that she asked was, did you have this conversation? And she addressed that question to the husband. Did you have the conversation of what your future will look like when you guys are married? And he pretty much said no. He said he thought that as long as he helps support her, right? All those right things that you're told to do as a man, support your wife, encourage her, pay for her school. He thought as long as he supports her, she'll appreciate him for that. And would repay him back with being a better wife. But no, now she wants to leave. Now she wants to initiate that divorce, right? This bad coffee.
This coffee smells like shit.
And a lot of men go through this. The question here is, what's the solution? Well, guys, there's no solution right now to modern day marriage, but there's things you can do to help protect yourself so that you don't end up like this guy. One of them being, if you're a guy who has no aspirations to move up in your career, I always encourage people to always move up. I think a man should be always bettering himself, if it's not in your career, in some form or fashion. And depending on the woman, it's not necessarily always your career that she wants to see you improving by. Sometimes it's just your health, right? She wants to see that you're getting better, keeping in shape. But what I want to talk about is if you're the type of guy who's like, man, I have my job, I don't want to, grow in it. I don't want a supervisor position. I don't want to go in my career. I'm okay doing this. I'm happy. I just want to go fishing once in a while. I'm cool. This is something that you definitely have to talk to a woman about before you marry her. You can't assume, unfortunately, most men today assume that if I just do the right thing, if I just support this woman, she's going to see the sacrifices I've made and she's going to stay with me. No, you got to have these conversations, because if you have these conversations, you'll start realizing that women's expectations in most cases are delusional, but you see situations where your goals really don't align. Now, there is this gray area, of course, of does she know who she will become after she goes to school and university and all that? And should that be a red flag for you, right? A woman who is highly ambitious and wants to garner all these degrees, PhDs, for what? At the end of the day, if it's not translating into actual money, I bet you this man probably still makes more than she does, because to women, it's all about status. To a lot of women out here, a woman would rather date a guy who has a job that's respectable as far as status goes than a guy who works at some steel factory somewhere, but he's out earning the guy with white collar job. Now, of course, this is for men who still plan to get married, especially here in the Western world. You want to have these type of conversations. These are the conversations you want to have. What do you expect in the future? What's this relationship going to look like? Well, why? Because we know in most cases, if someone's going to turn against you, chances are it's going to be the modern woman. As always, we're going to check out some of these comments. Let's see what the people have to say. First comment here reads, what I don't get is how he can listen to her and still want her. Jeez, that's facts. I'm glad this person said it, not me, right? Because if the man had respect for himself, he would have been able to see her selfishness. That's what this is. Probably more delusion, but also selfishness, and be like, look what I've done for you. What? Hold on. I'm out. He's not going to wait for her to stay. He's out. But then again, maybe he's fighting for the family and the kids, and it's not that easy. And he knows she's going to take mostly everything. This commenter goes on to say she's giving him a perfect out. The judge isn't going to give her a dime. This is a really good comment. And I think this speaks to the defeatist mindset of most men today, right? They get a chick, they marry her, and they can't let her go. They don't have a mindset of abundance. He doesn't know that he will be okay, right? Unfortunate situation. Let's keep reading. Next comment reads, she would be lucky, especially at her age, to find someone that's morally sound, loves to work, and loves his family. She hit the lottery. RIP marriage. That's facts. We've got another comment here from a gentleman that reads, there is somebody in the wings she wants to be with. Well, I agree with this. The grass is never greener on the other side. She will see and regret. That's a fact. The unfortunate thing about these type of situations, you know this woman's making a big mistake. She's not going to end up better than she is now. She's going to end up crying. She's going to make a TikTok, and she's going to end up on the coffee pot again. Right? Someone else responded to this comment and said, exactly. Some other guy has filled her head with garbage and she believes it, but she will soon realize that it's all lies. Very, very true. We've got another man here who says she's detached from reality, doesn't see that she was able to be all that she is because he enabled her to do it. Isn't that just how we do God? Next comment here reads, he's a good guy and I am bored because he's not toxic. Generation and marriage and women of today. You can't be the guy who just wants to relax and just think things are just going to go your way. Toxic can be a lot of things. Like, women think you're toxic if you respect yourself. If you set requirements in a relationship, you're toxic. And some men don't want to do that. They think it's too much work and they don't want to deal with it. Cool. Some men understand and they're like, okay, so how do I go about a relationship with the woman, on marriage, etc.? Well, first off, you have to respect yourself. You can't be like this guy who's fighting tooth and nail to keep a woman who does not want to be kept. Her knowing that, hey, you can leave, go ahead, who gives an F, she would be rethinking, or at least think twice about leaving. That's part of it, is that she can see that he's willing to devalue himself and fight for a woman who basically is over him. Next, we have a comment here that reads, he's a good guy. That's the problem. 370 likes. I don't think that's the problem. And I want to really drive this point home. There's a difference between being a good man and being too nice. At some point, he's being too nice to this woman. And you can be too good to a woman. Too much of anything is bad. And I'm saying this because a lot of guys think, oh, well, now I got to be a toxic guy. If I have to be this horrible person, then I don't want to get in relationships. Nah, that's not what it is, right? It's about having boundaries and valuing yourself. Next comment here reads, translation, he supported me when I needed it, but now I think I can do better. Mercy. Listen, tragic situation. What advice would you give this guy? I'm always curious to know what you guys think. And as always, I appreciate you for checking out yet another episode of The Coffee Pod, man. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.